The bath. Hey, it's Dave here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Home Assistant and a Zigbee water leak sensor to notify you when your bath is ready. For this project, you'll need a SONOFF Zigbee water leak sensor along with either a polyester mesh drawstring bag or a soap mesh bag. Place the sensor inside the bag and hang it over the bath tap. The adjustable drawstring makes it easy to raise or lower the sensor, allowing you to choose exactly what water level will trigger the notification. You also need a Zigbee coordinator that's already set up with Home Assistant. If you haven't got that far yet, I've linked a Zigbee coordinator setup guide in the description. For this tutorial, I'm using Zigbee to MQTT. If you're using ZHA instead, the pairing screens will look a little different, but the overall process is fairly similar. One quick disclaimer before we begin. This is designed as a fun and useful reminder, not a safety device. Home Assistant is fantastic, but like any smart home system, things can occasionally go wrong. So don't start running a bath, disappear for half an hour, and assume everything will be just fine because you're waiting for an announcement. Before we get started, I'd like to thank PCBWay for sponsoring this video. If you've watched some of my recent videos using custom PCB designs, you'll know I've been using PCBWay to manufacture them. Alongside PCB manufacturing, they also offer 3D printing and CNC services. To celebrate their 12th anniversary this July, PCBWay are offering free solder mask colors in matte black, purple or pink on rigid, flexible and rigid flex PCBs. Orders need to be placed and reviewed by the 31st of July to qualify, and you'll also find exclusive coupons using the link in the description. Thanks again to PCBWay for supporting the channel. With that out the way, let's jump into Home Assistant and pair our water leak sensor. From Home Assistant, if you go into Zigbee to MQTT, if you don't have this on your sidebar, go to Settings, Apps, open Zigbee to MQTT, and click the button Open Web UI. From here, we're going to click Permit Join, and then on your water leak sensor, if you press and hold the reset button for about 5 seconds, and then once you release, you should get some red flashing lights. And you can see here the device is now adding. Once that's been added, if you just click on Rename Device, and I'm just going to change the friendly name. So it's got water leak detector _ bathtub. And I'm also going to check this box, Update Home Assistant Entity ID. Then click Rename Device. And if I just scroll down, you can see it showing here. If I click into that, and if you go to the Exposes section, at the moment it's got water leak is showing null. And what I'm going to do is just bridge the two connections, and it should then show something like leaking, which it is. So we know that's working, that's looking good. And now I'm just going to remove my fingers from those two connections, and it goes back to clear. Now that the sensor has been paired, we need to find its entity ID. We'll use this later to trigger our Home Assistant automation. Back into Home Assistant, if we click on Settings, then we're going to select Devices and Services. And if we select Entities and do a search for water or bathtub, whatever you labeled it. And I've got these 4 options. You're going to think it's this one here where it says water detector bathtub, but that's actually just related to update info, as you can see in the entity ID. what we want is this one here where it's identified as moisture. And if you click on settings, we can now see the entity ID, which is binary sensor, water detector, bathtub water leak. Make note and copy those values because we're going to be using them shortly when we create an automation. Now that we've got the entity ID, let's create an automation that will trigger whenever the sensor detects water and announce that the bath is ready. From Home Assistant, if you go into Settings, Automations and Scenes, Create Automation, Create New Automation, and if you click on these three dots and select Edit in YAML, I'm just going to paste in this example code which will be shared. Starting from the top, you've got these triggers. It's when the water leak sensor goes from off to on, and it has to be on for at least 10 seconds. That way, it just removes any false triggers in case it briefly went from off to on and back off again. You will need to change this value to reflect your water leak sensor, which you should have identified earlier on in this video. Going to the second half of the automation, you've got two actions. This first one is going to trigger a notification to your Amazon Echo device saying the bath is ready. There's then going to be a 5-second delay, and then it will repeat exactly the same again. Now I've also added a 5-minute delay and I've set mode onto single. What this will do is if any of the triggers are activated within that 5-minute window, it's just going to ignore it and do nothing. Otherwise, every time it goes from off to on, you're going to keep getting that notification again and again and again. Now, if you don't know how to get the entity ID of your Amazon Echo device, the easiest way to do it is from Developer Tools and go to the Actions tab. So I'm just going to go onto a new window and quickly show you how to do that. So if you go into Settings, scroll down and look for Developer Tools, make sure you've got the Actions tab selected, and also make sure you're in YAML mode instead of UI mode. So from YAML mode, if you just do a search for Notify, and if you scroll down, you should see your Amazon Echo device showing here. In this example, you can see send a notification and it's referencing my Amazon Echo device. If I click on this, you can now see the exact entity ID that I need to copy, which is the notify.alexa media player along with the device name. So I would copy that and you're going to paste it into your automation. I'm just going to quickly update all of these values so that the entity IDs are set to a real value. So that's what your code should look like once the entity IDs are set. Just before I save that, if I click on these three dots and select Edit in Visual Editor, you can see this is the trigger section, and it's when the water detector is going to go from off to on. It does say dry and wet, but it's the same as off and on. And I've added the 10 seconds. Then you've got the two actions which are going to be repeated, which will send a notification to my Amazon Echo device to say the bath is ready, along with a 5-second delay here, repeat the same, and I've then added another 5-minute delay just so that it doesn't keep repeating again and again. Now I'm going to save that, and that automation is created. Now that the automation has been created, let's put it to the test and see it working.
The bath is ready. The bath is ready.
So there you have it, a simple but really useful way to receive a notification when your bath is ready using Home Assistant and a Zigbee water leak sensor. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future Home Assistant videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.